On this episode of Hot Rod Hoarders, I want to talk to you about another car that means a lot to our family. It's provided a lot of fun for us, and it's going to provide a lot more fun for years to come. So let's check it out.
Is there a bug on my head? Hey!
This car is a 1964 Chevrolet Chevelle. It was ordered with the Malibu package, which really didn't get you a whole lot, but it was ordered with a V8. It was a 283 cubic inch small block Chevy, had a 2-barrel carburetor on it, and not much else. This car, it did have a Power Glide automatic transmission, but manual drum brakes, manual steering. It's actually a radio delete car. There's really not a whole lot of creature comforts in this car. So this car came into our family several years ago. My dad actually bought it from a friend of his, Lawrence Phillips. He had bought it from the typical old lady who had this thing for years, only drove it on Sunday, that whole thing. But the car legitimately did sit on Cherry Street, Dayton, Tennessee for lots of years under the carport. My dad's a paint and body man, so the first thing he did was fix a few spots on it and blast a coat of paint on it. Now his intention was to sell this car. He just wanted to, make it look presentable so that somebody would see it, it would catch their eye, they would jump on it and buy it. Came down on the price a little bit, still didn't get any big bites, decided that it was best to just hold on to this car. Right about that time, I found out that I was going to be a father, and I knew that my hot rodding days were not over, but I did know that the days were numbered on the Corvette as far as me and Christina being able to just hop in, take off, and go for a ride. Luckily, we had gotten some really good use out of the car in 2012. We drove the thing everywhere. We went to Pigeon Forge. We did the Tail of the Dragon. We went to Somerset, Kentucky. We went everywhere in this car. I mean, we drove it up and down the road. We went to every car show that we could go to. It was a ton of fun, and it was unknowingly kind of our last hurrah as just me and her. The decision was made that this Chevelle was going to be Carly's, and it was going to just work into our favor that we could utilize it. It's got a back seat, it's got back doors, it's super reliable, very original car, nothing real crazy that requires a lot of maintenance. So it was going to be a practical car that we could actually use. We could make memories in this car. It wouldn't do a burnout. It's not going to go to the drag strip. It's not going to win any shows. That's for sure. This car is not for that. This car is for getting in, strapping everybody in, loading up the coolers and the chairs and everything else in the back because it's got a ton of trunk space. And you just drive it. There is no drama. You turn the key and it pretty much usually does what you want it to do. So when my dad got this thing, it was sitting up, it looked like a 4-wheel drive. It was really like extra high. I don't know why. But it had the little skinny white wall tires, it had the wire wheel hubcaps, the whole 9 yards. This was your grandma's car. So when we decided that this car was going to kind of transition into eventually being Carly's car, I was going to be able to make use of it during the meantime. We decided to go ahead and make this thing look cool, because what's the use in an old car if you're kind of like embarrassed by it? So what we did was we popped those hubcaps off of there, painted the wheels nice fresh black, put some dog dish caps on it, and we lowered it down just a little, just a couple inches front and back. But later on, I was doing some work on this thing, did a disc brake swap. I decided to go ahead and put 2-inch drop spindles on it. That brought it down a little bit more. That created some tire and wheel clearance issues, so I couldn't run the 14-inch stock wheels anymore. I put 15s. I got them from Coker Tire. Got some tires from Coker, obviously. So I lowered the back to match by cutting the coils, and I actually ended up, I think I cut them 3 different times to get it exactly where I wanted it. As far as wheels go, it's got 15x5 OE steel wheels on the front, 185/70 R15 tires on the front. The back is 15x6 OE steel wheel, and then the rear tire is a BF Goodrich 235/75 R15. As far as the engine goes, it's still a stock 283. I haven't done a whole lot to it. I put an aluminum intake and a 4-barrel carburetor on it, a tiny Holley, a 390 CFM Holley 4-barrel on it. And this little wimpy 283 is okay with it. Doesn't need much more than that. I put dual exhaust on it. Had Jimmy's Pro Muffler just run me some regular old duals with just stock type mufflers. It's not a hot rod. It doesn't sound like it. It just sounds like a regular old car. I did put vintage air on it. That's been the best thing I've ever done for the car because we can really get in it now any time of the year and be comfortable. But I do have plans to put power steering on it because if Carly's going to drive this car, she's going to need the power steering. It's kind of a handful. So power steering is a must. Another potential idea is putting an overdrive transmission in it. The Power Glide has been flawless. It's been great. But getting this thing out on the interstate, 70 to 80 miles an hour, it does it just fine. It doesn't run hot. But I know that I'm kind of pushing the limits of that old 283. It's never been rebuilt. It's got, getting close to 100,000 miles on it now. So I just don't want to ruin that motor because I want it to go interstate speed. So if I put an overdrive in it, I think it'll extend the life of that engine a little bit longer. So the paint job on this car is nothing special. My dad just basically scuffed this thing off, fixed a few little dings here and there, and painted it. The paint that my dad used on it is just cheap acrylic enamel, single stage paint. A lot of people don't really use that anymore because urethane is so much better. But that's something he's really comfortable with. He's painted hundreds, probably actually thousands of cars with acrylic enamel. He's comfortable with it. Even with a metallic color on a single stage job, that's kind of a challenge. But he's done it so many times, it's just like second nature to him. The interior is very similar to the outside. It's nothing special. Dad did have the seats redone when he was trying to sell the car. The seats were just pretty ragged. So he had new seat covers put on and didn't do anything else. So the first trip we took in this car was to Somerset, Kentucky. We realized that this car was going to allow us to keep having fun at car shows and cruise-ins. Even though the Corvette was still here and I could still romp around in it and have some fun, this Chevelle was going to be the thing that we actually got some use out of. So after we'd started making some progress on the car, drove it all over the place. I've put about 35,000 miles on it in the last few years. I've driven it to work. I've driven it to Kentucky several times. I've driven it all the way up to Louisville 3 times now to the Street Rod Nationals. I've driven it all over the Southeast. And this thing, just keeps on running and keeps on doing well for me. And I hope that the process of me driving it and working on it and fixing little things and working out the bugs will result in Carly having a car that she will literally be able to drive anytime, anywhere she wants to. And I'm not expecting her to drive this thing to school every day. I don't want her to. I want her to have kind of a beater type car to drive as she's a teenager. But I want her to be able to get in this thing and for us to drive together to a cruise in or just for her to drive around on a Friday night or whatever. One of the coolest parts about owning this car is that it's been right here at my house this whole time. So even though this car, I've been taking care of it, I've been driving it, I've been the one getting the good use and fun out of it, Carly has been right here with it since day one. She's been around it the whole time. She's been inside of it the whole time. She's been able to climb in there with her car seat and just go with us wherever we want to go.
I'm going to have a cheese sandwich, fries, and chicken nugget, please. Okay, now we got... What? What?
Pull around. Pull around to the window and you got to give them some money.
No, well, we're in line. There's more cars. There's cars ahead of me.
Okay.
So I have to wait. Okay, thank you. Here you go. Now I gotta get our food. I gave them a ticket and money.
How much was it?
It was $20 and I had $20.
Oh, good.
Don't take videos. Don't take videos.
One of the cool things to me, in addition to that, is that, I wash the car pretty often. I take care of it. I do maintenance on it. And she's been around for that as well. And what I was talking about with the paint job not being amazing and the fact that we don't have to worry quite so much, it has allowed me to hand over the wash mitt to her, even as just, a 2 or 3 year old, and let her go scrub around on it and feel like she's taking part in these old cars. So the nicks and scratches and things that this thing has accumulated over the years, it really just adds to the car's story. And now I don't want it to be a beat up piece of junk by the time Carly starts driving it. So I do take care of it, and we keep it clean. We just recently buffed and waxed the old paint job and really kind of brought it back to life. And I'll show a little bit more of that in a future video of how we did that exactly. And, we just continue to enjoy this car all the time. If it's a sunny day, you can count on us getting the car out and using it. And all I can hope is that Carly remembers these times, remembers the times sitting in the back seat, remembers the times that I let her ride in the front like a big girl. And, I hope that we continue to create more and more memories and milestones with this car. And, I just pray that she appreciates it as much as I do, because, I see the sacrifices that my dad has made over the years to be able to give us stuff like this. To think about how much money he spent on me and all of us, it really does hit home, because as my family grows, I realize what he's had to do these years to provide for us and to go above and beyond for us. So it really means a lot, and this car is just a perfect example of that. And I hope that Carly can see that as she gets older and she matures. I hope that she fully appreciates it for what this thing is. You want to tell them what we did today?
We washed the Chevelle and waxed it.
Yes. And it made it look super good, especially in the sunset light.
I'm glad we finished it before it was too late.
Yes.
Sun's perfect.
Yes. It's my favorite time to take pictures. So do you know the story of your Chevelle? Like how you got it or why you got it?
No.
You don't know?
No. I do not know.
Well, who gave it to you?
Papa.
Papa, yeah. He wanted you to have an old car just for yourself.
Yeah. He's like, hello, hello.